The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know.
I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong?
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
I told Andrew I didn't really want to use that particular bunch of bumper comments. She said, probably. Am I right or am I right? She said, probably. I didn't give her any choice. Nice to have you with me here on The Doctor Is In. It's called in program. I get my email cluttered with all kinds of requests for guests, which would be nice if I had that kind of program, but I don't. My program is you. You're the ones who are my guests. You call in, whether you have a situation that is perplexing you or frustrating you, or a situation that it isn't really, and you're thinking, am I out of line for not being bothered by this? A lot of people do that. They think, I should be more distressed. And the fact that I'm not distressed, what's wrong with me? I get that all the time. One of my early books, You're a Better Parent Than You Think, one of my chapters was, Is My Child Normal? I had a mother who had a wonderful adolescent boy, and she was worried about it. Because she thought, well, he's too nice. Maybe he should be rebelling. Okay, that said, or sometimes people come in with a comment on something that somebody has said in a previous call. Sometimes they go back a few calls. Sometimes they ask about something they don't understand in the broad umbrella of what could be called psychology or mental health. Sometimes I get questions about physical fitness, because I've been doing that for 50 years. 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. What about a segment on mustaches, mustache care? Hey, I kept my mustache when it was not cool. Started it when I was 19, and I thought I was cool, and it was half kind of, well, I don't want to say peach fuzz, but that's kind of what it was. No, I never use anything on it. Just trim it. And then throughout when did it die out? The 80s? 90s? 90s. Faded out. And I kept mine. I was a rebel. Kind of like, you know what? Kind of like a tattoo when they weren't cool. And now kind of like no tattoo when you are a rebel. Anyway, that said, we'll get your calls, 877-57-EQUAL. I had a young mother way back when I was at the Mental Health Center in Lisbon, Ohio, who came in because her little daughter, 9-year-old little daughter, passed away of leukemia. Understandably, her world was rocked. But adding to it was that Mom shared, and I'm fuzzy on the details, but I think I've got the general sense. Mom was visiting her little girl. She spent much time in the hospital. And the little girl said, Mommy, stay with me. Mom agreed. And the little girl went to sleep. Mom figured, I got some stuff I got to do. I'll run out and do it, and I'll come back. The little girl passed away. Mom was gone. Oh, boy. Talk about a heavy sense of guilt. Mom was racked. And she said she noticed something else that she didn't see coming. She had lost any kind of acceptance or tolerance for people complaining. She said that complaining landed heavy on her ears. And particularly heavy was people who complained about their children. The younger ones, frustrations of raising kids, or what the kids do as they get older. She said, it just became so hard to hear it. I kind of surprised her. She thought, boy, what? I didn't expect that. The lesson for me in that, be careful who you complain to. You have no idea what they're dealing with. Trust me. I got this. I know this. I talk to people who the whole world thinks their life is put together. They are paragons of well-adjustment. And they have their struggles, heartbreaking types of struggles. And if you're complaining about something, you got a flat tire on the way to work, and you're just so frustrated, and traffic was heavy. Or, oh gosh, our dryer broke, and now I got to get a new dryer, and it just takes up 22% of your conversation. Keep in mind, you can't know who's dealing with what. Right now, I have a slew of friends and family who are in various stages of battling cancer. Now, I can only imagine that to them, for someone to complain about the everyday frustrations of life would be a little hard to hear, especially when they're trying to save their own life through whatever means we have available now, and praying probably like crazy. The thing about complaining is you're not complaining to a neutral audience. You don't know who you're complaining to, in the sense that you don't know what they're struggling with. You don't know what has hit them in their past. Everybody's carrying a heavy load from tragedy in their past. I talked to a lady over the weekend who 50 years later still is in some kind of grief. Not enough to affect her living, but her sister died at 17 in a car wreck. It was her closest sister. Somebody complained to her about their frustrating adolescent. I don't know how she'd interpret it. Complaining really isn't a popular thing anyway. Most people don't like to hear complaining. One of my favorite country song verses is, you can feel bad if it makes you feel better. Know that whoever you complain to may be hypersensitive to the fact that you're complaining about things that they just wish was their biggest problem. RAO 877-57 equal is the number to call. Dr. Ray.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
There's a fine line between being informed and something being none of my business. In Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, he tells them to live a quiet life, earn their own living, and mind their own business, because in this way you will win the respect of those who are not believers, and you will not have to depend on anyone for what you need. I picked the word organized in 2020 to focus on as part of my resolve to get organized. In 2021, the word I picked was focus, to first focus on Jesus, my family, our business, and our own lives. I'm a recovering news junkie, and I read and consume news that is necessary for the work that I do. I don't engage in political feuding on social media, and I also make a concerted effort not to engage in idle gossip. I sometimes fail. But before I engage in conversation, whether it be in person or online, I first ask myself, is this any of my business? This has been a Christ-Centered Communication Message. I'm Vanessa Denha-Garmo, a communications evangelist and host of Epiphany.
Remember to take a minute this week to thank a priest you know for all the blessings he shares through his vocation. Our priests work tirelessly to bring us the sacraments and help us on our journey to heaven. Let's encourage them and express our gratitude for all of their sacrifices, like thank you for baptizing our children. Nominate your priest at thankyoufforyourpriesthood.com. A new contest every month through September 2025. Brought to you by Diocesan, your Catholic advertising and communications company.
Head to your phone calls. Want to reiterate, very much looking forward to heading to Buffalo August 19th and 20th. We are taping 4 programs of Living Right with Dr. A, the TV show, first 4 of season number 15. Buffalo always turns out a great studio audience. The audience makes the show. They do all kinds of stuff. We have little bits with the audience. They ask questions, comments. They are an integral part of the TV show. So the bigger the audience, the better. If you would like to be part of the audience, we're having shows at 5 and 7:15 in the evening, August 19th and 20th. Downtown Buffalo, the PBS station, WNED, they have a wonderful studio there. We were there last time. Big studio, holds a lot of folks, and the Buffalo people filled it up. So if you would like to sign up for 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the programs, go to thestationofthecross.com, thestationofthecross.com, and on their homepage, right there, is easy instructions on how to sign up. As a bonus, a big bonus, the first night, Tuesday night, Father Larry Richards, who's a pastor in Erie. Many of you know Father Larry. He will be there, both programs, the whole time. So we'll have some fun with Father Larry, too. All right, so there you go. Let's go to Karen. Her friend is driving her nuts, so to speak. Hi, Karen.
Hi. Thanks for taking the call.
Sure.
I don't know. I guess I'm another one that's carrying around some guilt because we're both old ladies. There's a bunch of us that go to daily mass and we say the rosary beforehand. And one of my friends who doesn't really live close to me, she can't drive anymore. And so she's been, she's got a list of people she calls, I guess, to give her a ride to church. And she lives, in a duplex on one side of her daughter and her family live, and the other side she lives. And I guess she has a 23-year-old grandson that lives with her, and he's taken over her car now. So anyway, it's gotten to the point where I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to mass because she's going to wind up asking me for a ride back to her house. If she sometimes she takes Uber, and that gets expensive. And so I'm like I feel like I'm not being a good Christian if I don't. And a lot of times after mass I have plans, to run errands and do stuff, while I'm out, and then, go home and take my nap because I'm 78 and I don't have the energy I used to have. But anyway, so I don't know what to do. I mean, I like going to mass, but it's like the last time I went well, I went up and I sat with her, but then she was blowing her nose and she was coughing, and I thought, oh my gosh, she's sick, and now I have to deal with being around her, and I excused myself because I had to go to the restroom, and then I thought, well, I'm just going to put on a mask and sit in the back. It was kind of cold anyway, but anyway, so she, and then I left early because I didn't want her to ask me for a ride home. And so
you're getting sneaky. It's a good way to handle it, though. Kind of a sneaky. We sit way in the back.
No, I don't like being sneaky. I wish I could just say, I don't mind taking you once in a while, but it's out of my way, and I don't. What would Jesus do? I don't know. Am I being selfish? And I do that with a lot of people. They call and they say, "Can I'm willing to help them out," but sometimes it becomes like they're using me, and then I start building this resentment, and that's not good.
Well, let's help you out here, Karen. Okay, let's help you out. First logistically and then theologically. Logistically, don't stop going to Mass because this lady's going to corner you and say, take me home 22 miles out of your way. Don't do that, okay? You go to Mass anytime you want to go to Mass. If you want, you tell her, I can take you home on Wednesdays. That's all I can take you home. The rest of the time, I've got stuff that I'm committed to, things I have to do. I can take you home on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. Now, if you say to yourself, well, I don't know if I even want to do that. I mean, come on, I'm tying myself to Wednesday. You can say, I'll take you home on Wednesdays if I'm here.
But sometimes when I'm there, I've got things that I need to do. And the thing is that she reciprocate a little bit. I mean, buy me lunch or something, or I'm willing to take her to the grocery store too.
You're not obliged. You're not obliged to be at her beck and call.
Well, I'm thinking
you can help her out when you can. Help her out when you can.
But what's going on with her? Because her grandson, why doesn't?
Well, of course, that's right. He's got her car. Come on, he's not going to be put out. She's not probably even going to ask him. All right. So that said, let me help you out here. Many people wrestle with this. They have folks who lean on them for all kinds of stuff. And a lot of times it's because of convenience that they want another person's help. It isn't because they need another person's help. It's convenience.
Right.
Okay? So I'm speculating now, but I can't see that our Lord would say you have to be at somebody's beck and call when they want you to be at any time. If they don't have any food or no shelter, yeah, okay, as a Christian, you do what you can to help them. But for somebody to say, well, no, I need you to do this for me, when they potentially have other options. She could take an Uber any time.
Mm-hmm.
I got to believe she can. So she has other options. So what if you told her, and this is why we got to get past the logistics into the spiritual theological. What if you told her, I will take you when I can, but most of the time I can't. So be prepared to have another possibility. I think what's keeping you from saying, I can't take you today, is because you think you're not being a good Christian.
Right.
So I got to believe if you talk to a priest who has more credibility than I do, he's going to tell you the same thing. He's going to say, you can't just be there every time she says, hey, clap, clap, snap, snap, take me home. Now, she may not be that demanding, but she will say, can you take me home today? However she does it, you know she has other options. You know that she's, for whatever the reason, given the 23-year-old kid her car, and he won't take her, apparently. Have you ever seen him there?
Nope.
Right. So given that, you're not being a bad person by saying, I'll take you when I can, most of the time I can't. Because what's happening here, Karen, is that you're choosing a bad option, which is, Well, I just won't go. Well, wait a minute. You want to go to Mass, you go to Mass. Well, I'll just sit in the back and I'll sneak out. Well, you can do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. It just makes you feel bad, but you can do that. Mm-hmm. But I think what's stopping you is that I'm just not being a good person if I do this.
I'm not very confrontational either.
Well, you ain't being. You're just simply saying, I'll do it. I'll take you when I can. Most of the time, I can't.
Okay, well,
you're allowed to do that. You don't need me to give you that permission, Karen.
No, I need the Holy Spirit to give me some courage.
Either that or sit in the back, you know?
Yeah. Okay, thanks a lot.
All right, honey. Take care. Bye. Oh, boy, that's a look-back call. You know why? Because we always struggle with, where does my charitable obligation as a Christian end? Unfortunately, many people have an attitude of, serve me, meet my needs. I need something done here. You call yourself a Christian. Yeah. Let's go to Diane. Has a comment from a previous call. Hi, Diane.
Hi, Dr. Ray. I love your show. My kids are all grown, but I still learn from you so much. I wanted to add a comment out of personal experience to a lady. You may have already told her this, I don't know, but she called earlier in the week or maybe last week, and she has a 20-some-year-old son who struggles with his life, social life. He doesn't want to go do anything because he has such a terrible low opinion of himself. And I wanted to just say that for her, let him know that nobody cares about him. Everybody's so wrapped up in themselves. Nobody cares about his appearance or anything about him or what he's doing. So forget about it, get over it, and get on with enjoying his life the way he wants to live. And number two, if he has some kind of a physical problem that keeps him from having higher self-esteem, then deal with that in the best way she can and tell him, just help him get over that, whatever it is, and say, look at what other people have to live with, and people with no legs and no arms, and they live a happy life. You have to, get over it and enjoy your life and stop living in a shell. Nobody cares about you, right?
Well, what you're saying has a lot of truth to it in the sense that most people are preoccupied with their own concerns and their own existence, and they're just not looking at somebody else and scrutinizing them and saying, boy, that kid's an awkward misfit. I think, if I remember the call, Diane, I think it was, he didn't have any physical issues. It was more of a self-doubt kind of stuff. That he was simply going to be poor in social contexts. What you say makes total sense. The question is, one, has his mother ever said that kind of stuff to him, and how many times? And two, would he even accept it? I think there's a third option here, and that is, if his social squeamishness, whatever you want to label it, is keeping him from taking anything that he thinks has the potential to not work out, then she's going to have to force it. She's going to have to say, okay, you can't keep living here and drifting here because you're saying I don't have enough confidence to try ABC. She may have to say, well, you're going to have to find out what happens. Now that may sound kind of tough to some people, but what's happening is he sounds like he was slowly retreating into himself. Mm-hmm. Did you get that sense?
Yes, and he's got to come out of it someday. So, like you've told people before, I know, they have to stand on their own 2 feet, and sometimes it's hard to do, but we have to provide what they absolutely can't live without, and then otherwise, boy, that's hard to do, though.
We've become so psychologically squeamish. What will happen psychologically, emotionally, if we put conditions on someone's conduct? Diane, thank you so much for the call, dear. 877-573-7825. 877-57 equal. Halfway mark of the show. Not quite. And let's get another bunch of calls to come in, if you would. Thank you.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual fund. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com. The Heart of the Interior Life with Elizabeth Jingle.
In the 8th rule of St. Ignatius of Loyola's Discernment of Spirits, St. Ignatius invites us, during a time of spiritual desolation, to patient endurance and to think that spiritual consolation will return soon. But he also invites us to spiritual action against the spiritual desolation. St. Ignatius writes, diligently using the means against such desolation, as is said in the 6th rule. St. Ignatius's directional arrow, pointing back to the 6th rule, highlights the ongoing need to utilize all the spiritual tools available to us to reject spiritual desolation. Father Timothy Gallagher writes, these are the 4 means with which we are familiar: prayer, meditation, much examination, and suitable penitential gestures of courage. What spiritual tools will you diligently use during an experience of spiritual desolation?
For more information, visit AveMariaRadio.net.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
If you have a question about a child, grandchild, great-great-grandchild, and you're a little nervous about calling in, don't want to get personal, you can just simply say, yeah, there's a kid in our neighborhood. Not real sure about his mother, but I seen her on the news last week, all 5 days, after a stint years ago on Springer. You know, I was talking with Eric, and one of the more common things I get from emails is, I would like to call in, but people I know listen to the show, and therefore I don't want them to recognize my voice. And I said, well, we can always keep it anonymous, but we can get one of those voice modulator things, you know. You call in, or Eric informs me, and I didn't know this, that AI can take a voice and make it sound very different. Call in like a British accent. Hello, Dr. Ray. Oh, that's Australian, isn't it? Okay, or French. Hello, Dr. Ray. Anyway, 877-573-7825 is the number. Right now, lines are open. So you want to call in, you'll probably be first up. Unless all 3 of you, 4 of you call at the same time, and then we'll flip a coin. We'll play rock, paper, scissors. Or if you're Italian, we will play mora. Sei, setta. Friend of mine went for an interview. He wanted to talk to this gentleman who, I don't know what exactly the relationship was going to be, but he walked in, and the man was at his desk with his back to my friend, staring out the window. And he said, David, have you ever had a really bad day? And David was kind of perplexed at that initial question in an interview. he said, well, I guess I have. Everybody has. And the guy said, I thought I had really bad days too. Until I had a really bad day. An actual bad day. The man turned around to reveal a severely scarred face. The kind of face that if he were out in public, kids would stare, grown-ups would try not to stare, and folks would either avoid conversation, avoid any kind of greeting. His point was, we have to be careful what we call a really bad day. We're quick to say, boy, I had a bad day. Did you really? What happened? What happened in this bad day? And typically, it was a frustration or a disappointment, or something didn't go quite right the way we wanted. Wasn't smooth. But if you understand that that's life, things don't go exactly as we want on a day-to-day basis. That's life. This gentleman, I'm sure, now has in perspective what bad is in his days, after whatever happened to do that to his face. Let's go to Teresa. Teresa from Pennsylvania. Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Dr. Egg.
Thanks for calling.
So I've talked to thank you for taking my call. I've talked to you before about this family estrangement I've had with my brother, and my sisters are in contact with him. Most recently, in January, his son was killed at work. And,
yikes.
Yeah, and I didn't go. They went to the funeral. They didn't tell me they were going. They kept saying, and anyway, big mess. Three of us live in Pennsylvania, but my brother lives in North Carolina. So nobody
told you about the funeral. You didn't even know.
I knew my sister called to tell me he had been killed, right? But then after that, I'm like, well, what's the name of the funeral home? There was nothing in the paper, and they just completely ignored me. And when I called you, you were like, well, you can't control, you gave me really great advice, which I've been following. But now out of clear blue, I get an invitation to my brother's for a baby shower for his son. And no one has called me or said anything about it. I've been just sitting on it. But my husband's like, well, you're not going. They just want a gift. And I'm like, but no one said, hey, let's carpool down together. I mean, obviously, all three of us living in Pennsylvania, we would do that. That would make sense. But neither of my sisters have mentioned it. I've called both of them about other things. They didn't bring it up. So I'm like, is this just, should I send a gift? Should I just RSVP no and not go? I mean, there's no hey, we're all going to get together afterwards, because, I mean, you drive the whole way to North Carolina for a 3-hour baby shower, right? There's nothing else with it, just this, those email invites. So
I probably asked this the first time around, Teresa. I don't remember. What is it, as you see it, that you are the odd person out in your family? What is it that not only your brother but your sisters, for the most part, are keeping you quite a distance? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I have a tentative relationship with my sisters. It's kind of cooled off now that our mom has passed. But you hit it on the head. I am the most religious one in the family. I'm the one who goes to church. And I know my brother he's left the Catholic Church. He hates the Catholic Church. And I know that's a part of it, because I won't, if he says anything against the church, I defend it, right? So I know that was part of the reason for the big blow up, I don't know, like 26 years ago. Jeez. And he's been back in their lives for the past 6 years, but I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm not apologizing. They're like, you have to apologize. I'm like, tell me what I did wrong, and I will.
Well, what you did wrong is you said blow up. So if there were a blow up, that means you got upset too. You got maybe nasty, did you?
I didn't get nasty. I just said, my sisters were like, well, he just doesn't like the Catholic Church. And I'm like, well, okay, he has a right to, but I'm not denying my religion to have a relationship with him. Like, I never even said that to him. I said that to them. I'm like, if he wants to go on with his life.
Okay, wait. Why do you think you have to deny your religion to have a relationship with him? You just don't talk about
it. Because no, he said no, as long as you guys are practicing Catholics. So my sister said they weren't anymore.
Okay, stay there. There's a couple layers here I want to burrow down through. So stay with me, Teresa. This is Dr. Ray, 877-573-7825.
You like pizza? Me too. And for that, we can thank our friend Tom Monahan. First, he starts with $900 and opens one pizza shop. Then it's worldwide, thousands of shops. But all this was just a warm-up for his greatest achievement yet. He built a university.
God inspired Tom to build up generations of men and women who have a hunger to reach the world for Christ. This place is Ave Maria University.
Visit avemaria.edu to see what's next.
When we ask our Father to give us this day our daily bread, are we merely asking for daily nourishment? We are, says the Catholic Catechism, indeed asking the Father who gives us life for the material and spiritual nourishment which life requires. But we are asking for much more. Those who seek the kingdom of God and its righteousness, God has promised to give all else besides. Since everything belongs to God, he who possesses God possesses everything, if he himself is not found wanting before God. The drama of hunger in the world, therefore, calls upon all Christians to exercise responsibility toward their needy brethren, both in their behavior and in their solidarity with the human family. This petition also applies to another hunger from which people are perishing, thirst for the word of the Lord, and for Catholics receiving his body in the Eucharist, which is our daily bread. This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Hello, Steve Ray here from Footprints of God Pilgrimages. Want to celebrate some amazing anniversaries this year in France? We'll visit Normandy Beach to celebrate our heroic military for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Also, the 100th anniversary of the canonization of St. Teresa of Lisieux. Join us this October for our Saints and Shrines of France and a visit to the newly renovated Notre Dame Cathedral.
Find the Ave Maria Radio travel tab at avemariaradio.net.
Thank you for joining me here on The Doctor Is In, Monday through Friday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Talking to Teresa from Pennsylvania, recalling a call some time back where she mentioned that she'd been estranged from her brother and also squeezed out of the family constellation by her sisters. And we poked around about that and came up that she was the only one still left practicing the faith. It means a lot to her. They weren't, none of them. The brother was openly hostile. He made remarks, and Teresa stuck up for the faith, and that led to a rift, which went on for quite a while. And then apparently, whether they were forced to or not, the sisters chose sides and went with the brother. So now it's 3-1. Teresa, you still there?
Yeah, no, I mean, I have a relationship with my sisters, but whatever my brother wants, if something comes up, like everything is dropped and they like run to him, and if he says don't tell Teresa or don't invite her along, they're like totally okay with that.
Well, that sounds like 3-1 to me, but okay, you can call it what you want. So given that, they want you to apologize. Apparently they think that you were out of line some 26 years ago when you and your brother got into it about the faith. Okay, you can do that. You can say, hey, absolutely, I will call him if he accepts my call. Say, I'm sorry. Whatever I said, however nasty I was, I am sorry. I should not have done that. Now, that doesn't mean you're denying your faith. You're just basically saying my style wasn't very good. You could do that, sure. You're not saying I'm not going to sacrifice my faith for my brother. No, you're not doing that. So, the other thing is this too. Think about this. If you're the religious one in the family, then it behooves you to do everything you can to be the easiest one to get along with in the family. True. So you got an invitation to a baby shower. Now, here's a question. This might raise another issue. Is his son married?
Nope.
Didn't figure.
They're living together.
All right.
And when they stayed at my sister's house, she allowed them to sleep together.
Okay. All right. So the question then becomes, and this is a question of conscience, are you going to go because, in fact, they're not married to celebrate this birth out of wedlock? Now, the problem is, of course, you want to celebrate the baby, the new life.
Absolutely. Right.
I would think if you took a poll of 100 priests, there would probably be a few that say no, you don't go because you're celebrating an immoral situation. Probably most would say, from the perspective of some type of reconciliation in your family, just go. Call your brother. Text your brother, say, thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah.
I plan on coming.
I don't have my brother's phone number. I'm not allowed to have it.
Okay, well then can you tell your sisters? Tell him I'm planning on coming?
Yeah, I can tell them.
Sure.
I guess what's odd is, like, neither one of them called me and say, hey, did you get the invitation?
Well, does that surprise you? Come on. They didn't even call you when his son was killed. Talk about something huge.
Well, they called me, but then they wouldn't give me any information on the funeral.
Exactly.
So I knew about it.
Right. They don't want you to be part of it. Yeah. So that wouldn't shock me that they wouldn't tell you about the shower. But the fact that you got an invitation, and maybe it was at the behest of the son. He may have said, I want Aunt Teresa here. Maybe he doesn't like what people are doing to you. I don't know. But something motivated.
I'm like feeling like, are they trying to set me up for something?
Oh, man.
I don't know.
What would they set you up for?
I don't know. Why would you not want your sister to come to your son's funeral?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know.
He don't like you.
These are crap they pulled.
He doesn't like you.
He doesn't like me. I just said to him, you can live your life how you want, but you can't say, if you're going to say I won't have a relationship with you unless you drop the Catholic Church, then I'm going to have to say sorry.
Well, did he actually say that?
He said that to my sisters. And my sister stopped going to church because she said, well, I don't want to lose him.
Wow. Then they lost God. They lost Jesus. Ooh, bad choice.
I know. Well, they went to one of these new churches.
Ooh. Bad decision. Ooh, risky one.
I know. And,
well, okay, here's the thing. Let's close this up.
Okay.
If he insists that as long as you're Catholic, get out of my life, then you get out of his life. You got no choice. However, something happened. This invitation either slipped through the cracks, was motivated by his son, or he decided, you know what? All right, I'm going to relent a little bit and provide an opening. So, if you're asking me, should I go? My opinion, so my personal opinion, yes, you should. If he attacks your religion, don't battle him back. Just kind of look at him, let it go in one ear and out the other. Don't create any kind of religious scene. And if he says something like, well, I should have known you are who you are. This was a major mistake. Okay. All right. So it was a major mistake. It's no different than the way it is now. So go back home when you get a chance.
Okay, but my husband doesn't think I should go.
Well, it depends on how much your husband is going to stand strong on this. If he says, I don't think you should go because they're setting you up, or is he saying, there is no way I want you to go? I mean, I don't know. Okay?
No, he's afraid that they're going to do, that there's something sinister in it.
So what? What's sinister? So they'll attack your faith.
Know.
Our Lord said they persecuted me, they're going to persecute you. So what could they do?
Correct.
Right? I mean, you're basically saying they might offend me. Offend you how? Saying stupid, idiotic things? Pfft, that can't offend you.
That's true.
Sure. What are you worried about? Tell the Lord, Lord, I'm glad to be gone. I got a chance to reconcile, and if they get nasty, thank you. Because remember the apostles, they said they rejoiced because they were persecuted.
That's true.
Yeah. What are you worried about?
Even while they were in jail.
That's right. You ain't in jail. Teresa, thank you, honey. I got to run. Good luck. Let me know what happens.
Thank you, Dr. Ray.
All right. Bye.
I will. Thanks.
Okay. Got time for another call. We had Rosa, but she left. It always fascinates me when people call, and then about 6 minutes later, they're gone. I think maybe they think, well, I'm not going to get on. Rosa, you were up next. Well, I'll give you a number one more time for this last segment, 877-573-7825. 877-57-EQUAL. That's the number. I'm Dr. Ray.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com. Food for the Journey's Sister Ann Shields.
And trust is something that we're lacking these days. We don't have much trust in anyone, let alone the God we cannot see. And yet, if by grace and by the work of the Holy Spirit in us, by baptism and by confirmation, we ask the Lord just very simply, increase my faith. Increase my faith. God will give you eyes to see and ears to hear His action in your lives. You'll penetrate through the darkness, through the difficulty, and you'll begin to see. It's a walk by faith, but you'll begin to see, and God will give you confidence and strength to follow Him and to do it His way. It's not easy, but God will supply the faith if we ask for it. If I fix my gaze on Him now, I begin to experience more and more His action in our lives. You know, we've got to be attentive. God doesn't come in with a sledgehammer. He comes in with this small, still voice. We need to become sensitive and attentive. And if we ask the Holy Spirit, He will give it to us. Just keep asking.
Food for the Journey with Sister Ann Shields can be now heard on the audio archives page at AveMariaRadio.net.
Thank you for joining me, Dr. Ray. I tried to get to these calls. Rosa left because she said she accidentally hung up. Rosa, I'm a psychologist. If you have hang-ups, it's good that you came to me. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you, Dr. Ray?
Okay. So this question about teenage dating, huh?
Yes. Well, I don't know what to think about it. If it's okay, if it's not okay. I mean, she's 14 and I have a 13-year-old son. And she asked that somebody asked her out and she wants to go out with him.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's pretty young, don't you think?
14, yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Yes and no, because I was doing it.
Well, yeah, and it's likely that in earlier times, younger people left home sooner, and perhaps the culture around them, the immediate culture, like the family and the clan and the tribe and whoever it was a lot more protective. However, I think in modern American culture, 14's pretty young. Now, the overall question of teens dating, it depends upon so many factors. One, the maturity of the teen, not the age, the maturity. So, as a general rule, most people ponder this around 16 and 17 if they are people of religious sensibilities. Two, it depends upon where. In other words, if they want to go to a triple drive-in theater 3 states away, getting back at 3 in the morning, I don't care what age you are, that's not happening. On the other hand, if this is someone that you know reasonably well, maybe it's a boy at church and they just want to go get ice cream and they'll be back in an hour, okay, you might consider that. Or if he comes to your house and you're there. Or this is the one they won't choose, but you could choose it. Say, yeah, you guys can get together. Not at 14. Not at 14. I'm talking older. You guys can get together and Dad and I'll go out and double date with you. Ew. So, in fact, it depends on a whole lot of factors, but I will tell you this, and I saw a statistic on this. If a child has a first date between the ages of 11 and 13, they have a 90% chance of being sexually active by their senior year. First date between 14 and 16, 50% chance. First date 16 and older, 20% chance. So the sooner they start dating, generally, the sooner they will get physical. So that's something major to consider, my dear.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thanks, Rosa. Thank you, dear.
All right, bye.
Linda is calling from Pennsylvania. Got a disrespectful adult son. Well, it depends, Linda. Is he living in your house? How are you?
No, he does not. No, hi, Doctor. No, he lives out of state, and we've had some issues. Well, 2 years ago, when we were visiting our family there, my husband went grocery shopping with him, and when my husband came back, I knew something tremendously wrong had occurred. My husband looked like someone had died, and I said, "Are you okay?" He said, "No." At that time, we were staying at a hotel, and we had dinner, and we went home to the hotel, and my husband just said, he just yelled and cursed and screamed and said that we were terrible parents.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband just didn't react to him, let him say his thing, and then just said, "Matthew, this is not acceptable. You know, Mom and I raised you in a Catholic home. We've taught you compassion, empathy, kindness." And apparently Matthew could not give anything specific. He's just angry. Our youngest son has a mild form of left hemiplegia, cerebral palsy, and Matthew's always felt that somehow his brother is the golden child because he needed so many services when he was young. And
so I got about 2 minutes left here, Linda. What are you asking about Matthew here?
Well, he was just in for a visit with his wife and his family for a 3-day weekend.
Was he respectful?
I know that he has hip issues.
Was he respectful?
He was not at all.
So he was nasty. He was nasty.
Very nasty to me. He's going to need hip surgery one day. And
okay, so what did you do, Lynn? I'm trying to rush you here because you're going to get cut off.
I know that.
What did you do when he got nasty?
My face.
What did you do when he got nasty?
Well, it was something I said. I said, "Maddie, when I'm in pain with my knees, I just take my pain and offer it and leave it at the foot of the cross."
Oh, he didn't want to hear that. He doesn't want to hear that at all. That represents how much he hates the way he was raised with all this religion. This is so common.
I guess
Linda, so when he got nasty, what did you do? Not what did you say, what did you do?
I left the room because I was
Did you tell him to
really
leave?
hurt by his comments.
Did you tell him
No,
to
I
leave?
didn't.
You should have.
No. Okay, I hear you.
You can't.
And
Matthew,
I'm angry with myself now.
Matthew, if you're going to talk that way, why don't you just go and you come back when you're cooled down? Go.
All right.
I mean, you don't have to listen to me, but that's what I would do. You don't have to sit there and take abuse because you're a bad parent. Because why? Because he disagrees with the way he was raised, and now he's just decided you're terrible and awful because you didn't raise him according to his cultural standards that he's obviously absorbed. So, given that, if he's going to be that nasty and disrespectful, just tell him, maybe your husband tell him too, hey, son, you're going to treat us like this, we're going to simply stop the interchange. We're not going to cut the relationship off. We'll stop the interchange. That's not going to happen.
So he asked me maybe 6 weeks ago if I could come out. It's a 7.5-hour drive, August 11 to 14.
Linda, you're going to have to call me back. I got about 12 seconds. I hate to cut you off, but please give me a call back and we'll address this.
All right.
This is Dr. Ray. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks, Eric Dumont, for call screaming and manning the board. Walk with God. He's not disrespectful.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.